Well, a busy year in our politics continues. It is a busy year and a busy day and a busy session for the Georgia State Legislature. Crossover Day just happened on Friday. It's the critical midpoint, not literally on the calendar, but emotionally and metaphorically, for bills that hope to turn into law under the Gold Dome. Lawmakers today back in session, working through a lot of the legislation that moved late into the night and early into the morning in the State House's case, Friday night, crossover day. Our Doug Richards, as always, joining us from the state capitol. Doug, property taxes have been a hot ticket item under the Gold Dome. Where does legislation focused on that topic stand right now?
Yeah, and it was a focus really that only began a few days ago, and it came to a head on Friday. To answer your question, is that it passed the House late Friday night. It goes to the Senate, and the Senate kind of has to behold this bill that got, I don't want to say cooked up. It was elegantly written, I guess, maybe is what I really ought to say, in a matter of days, in a way that was designed to pass constitutional muster. The original version of the bill was actually submitted as a constitutional amendment, which would have taken a 2/3 vote to pass, and it also would have required the bill to be submitted to voters in November. The version of the bill that passed on Friday was merely a bill that got a majority vote from the Republican majority, and then passed at that point. The House still goes to the Senate. Let's hear a little bit of the debate that we heard on Friday night.
Or I've talked to an elderly lady who said she may need to sell her home because she can no longer afford to pay her property tax bill.
It is going to be a combined revenue loss to Sandy Springs of $52.4 million. You want to talk about a defund the police bill?
That was a small portion of a lengthy debate that took place on Friday. Obviously, the prevailing side was that of Clint Crow, the state representative, the first speaker. He's from the Jackson area. And the side that did not prevail was that of Shay Roberts, the Democrat from Atlanta / Sandy Springs, who warned that it would defund local governments, local school systems. Not an inconsiderable concern, but one that the backers of the bill say that they've built into it a sales tax that the local governments, if they decide to cut their property taxes, they would be able to add a sales tax that would make up for the difference. It sounds pretty simple. Detractors say it sounds pretty unconstitutional, Zach.
Certainly something that the lawmakers and not the courts are going to have to figure out in these coming days and perhaps weeks, depending on where things shake out. Doug, a question for you. We're talking about HB 1116, that's House Bill 1116, that fundamentally would limit the rate at which property taxes could increase year over year. We saw a little bit of the contours of the debate in the House from those clips from Friday night, crossover day. The bill's now headed to the Senate. Doug, do you have a sense of how support or opposition is lining up for this bill now that it moves into the other chamber?
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, that is a provision of the same bill that we've been talking about. And yes, I neglected to mention that it would also limit the amount of increase that a county or municipal government could do. You know, there's a lot of people who want to be able to leave the session and say that they did something to reduce property taxes. And by property taxes, we're not talking about, you know, vast amounts of, you know, like farm property or business property. We're only talking about homestead property. So, you know, it's the folks who vote who own these small pieces of property who are seeing these large increases. Those are the folks that they're trying to appeal to. And, you know, even the detractors of the bill want to appeal to those same people, but they also don't want them to lose $50 million of funding for their police department, as Shay Roberts said. And so there may be some effort to try to find a way to do both. However, they don't have that much time. and with the session ending at the end of the first week of April, there are a lot of details to iron out. And if you're asking my guess, in an election year, the two sides may be less. They may be less likely to compromise between now and then, as opposed to finding ways that they can put their heads together and make something happen on a bipartisan basis. It's a long answer to your question, Zach. I apologize for that.
No need to apologize ever, Doug. When you say it is your guess, I think folks can intuit that it is a good guess. You spent a lot of time under the Gold Dome, and you aptly point out there is indeed a couple of elections coming up in this big midterm year, and that colors everything that happens in the state legislature. Doug, thank you as always. We appreciate it.